What's up YouTube, Darrell here, and we are back with another trading video. So we double uploading today, you feel me? I had somebody requested in my Discord that they wanted to know how to precisely utilize the 1 minute chart to maximize your trades. And as y'all might have seen in another video, when I'm in the trade and I'm already pushing with the volume of the market, it throws a trend line on the 1 minute chart most of the time. So if you don't want to give none back, watch this video. This is how you capitalize and have a perfect exit on your trades, right? So let's just get into it. So the first example is going to be here. Let's go to the 5 minute. So I marked this up just from the video I just did. And this was literally a demand setup. So we had market pushed up and left a gap, and this became your zone. So me, when zones are this small, I'm taking aggressive entries no matter what, and I'm looking to fill in a gap. And what happened right here, from that candle in here, if I go to replay mode, let's go to replay. No, I'm gonna select a new candle. There we go. Select bar. So we go to replay mode. Right here. This is a gap. And then you fast forward. Boom. Right there. So you hop into the trade, just say if it's an aggressive entry, and you're looking to fill in this area, which is a gap. Now, first thing you could do is, while you're in this trade, like I said, this would have been an aggressive entry right here, and your take profit would have been this gap right here. Now, the market immediately filled in the gap in 5, 10, 20 minutes, right? But how do you know if it's gonna stop here? Because this is only take profit one. We also have another gap right here, and then we have liquidity sitting up here. So how do you know if the market wants to take out liquidity? So what you want to do, instead of just holding the trade and trying to see if you do it and let it come all the way back to your stop loss, to your break even, and then you close break even for the day, go to the 1 minute chart. On the 1 minute chart, as you can see, I got to replay this a little bit. So when you would have got this entry right here, boom, on the 1 minute chart. Now, at this point, you're in the trade. On the 1 minute chart, what can I see already? I see that we've established a trend. It looks something like this. And I will put it exactly right here, but the market moves in a certain way where you got to give it some breathing room. It's not going to be as precise if you just put it directly on the candles when the trend first started. So I'm identifying, okay, we're at a trend. Now, you see this right here? If I would have had my charts just like that, I would have think this was breaking out of the trend. You get what I'm saying? And close the trade, and this would have been a winner. But you got to give us a breathing room. And I put it here because I'm like, okay, what happened when it touched the trend line? It pushed down and it rejected. I know they're trying to respect the trend. So what happens? Then we break back up. So now my trend line is officially more accurate now. You know what I'm saying? So we reject it, and then we start pushing back up. Now we've bounced off of the trend line. So now I know where my trend line is. Now, if the market decides to break outside of this trend line while I'm in this trade, then is when I'll close my position. But I don't immediately draw the trend line unless I'm up already a 1-to-1, for example. In a situation like this, maybe a 1-to-2 because it's aggressive entry. So we respecting the trend line. At this point, boom. So there we go. Now, like I said, at 1-to-1, because this was a 1-to-4. So 1-to-1 was right here. And then we had structure, we had the pullback. So I would say 1-to-2.4, right? So 1-to-1, 1-to-2, don't immediately throw the trend line unless you're already up a 1-to-1, 1-to-2 on a small position like this. You get what I'm saying? I'm sorry, on a small or aggressive entry like this. Because sometimes you might just be going for a 1-to-1. So you gotta it just come with knowing the charts. Like you just gotta know like where you're trying to get to. So if I'm trying to fill in this area, okay, let me get in some volume real quick. Like right now, I'm hopped in this trade right here. I'm in volume. So because I'm in volume, I'm gonna let the volume do what the volume do. And now that it's pushing, we can clearly see we're on an uptrend once again, and it's respecting this trend line, right? So, just like that. Now, the second it break out of this trend line, I will be out of this trade. And I'm gonna show you. We already see that our take profit one is here in this area, filling in this gap. And what happens? Now you could have closed right here at TP1, right? You could have closed, or you could have tried to hold to see if the market wants to come take out liquidity. And what happens? Right here. So you see, check this out. It's respecting the trend line still, but it has not broke out. So if it breaks above, then possibly we going up. But if the second it break out, like when I see this right here, I know the next candle is nowhere else for the market to go. So it's gonna push up or down outside of the trend line. And look what the next candle do. Boom, immediately close the trade after that. Because you don't know, like if it's a rejection candle, but let me just fast forward this a little bit. There you go. So immediately get out of the trade. You already hit TP1. At this point, you would have made a 1-to-3, almost a 1-to-4. Depending on what you're risking, you made some money. You get what I'm saying? But you hop out of this because the second to break that trend, now the market moves in waves. So just like it goes up, it gotta come down. And look exactly what happened. Start pushing down. Now you would have gave all of this money back to the market. That's not what we're here to do, bro. So I'm just saying, like, keep this in mind when you're in trades. Know where your TP is, and be realistic as well. Like the markets, if you want a 1-to-10, your stop loss has to be this small. You get what I'm saying? You're not gonna have a big stop loss like this and then expect to get a 1-to-10, and then the price gotta go way. Let's see, a 1-to-10. Bro, look at this. Now let's get it to the second setup, and I'm gonna show y'all another example of this. All right, so here is the second setup. So like I said, I am always targeting gaps. I trade supply and demand. I trade liquidity grabs. Like I'm just trading what I see. So at this point, if I'm trying to figure out what I see in the market, okay, we see the market bounce off of this area. We pushed back up and we immediately came slamming back down, but we bounced off this area a second time. So now that we bounced off this area, I'm like, okay, we respecting structure. We're going off to the upside. So what I do, I draw just like this. It's my trade. And where am I looking to fill in? The gaps. It's a gap right here. Hopefully y'all can see this. Let me slide this over. But from this green candle, way down here, that's a gap. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trading to fill in the gap. Now, if I go to my candle replay, I don't know if we're gonna take out liquidity or if we're gonna fill in the gap. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna be realistic. I'm gonna look to see where the gap is, and I'm gonna watch price. Now, if I go to my replay, and we're gonna select this candle right here. Boom. Right, so we bounced off, we rejected, and immediately at the break of this candle, I'm entering. Boom. So we already in profit. Let's see. Now, this type of, remember I told you, don't immediately draw your trend line, because what we got right here, we got minor structure. So what the market do? The second we hit minor structure, it was a pullback. But if I'm confident in my setup, I'm a hold till we fill in the gap. And at this point, you get what I'm saying? We bounced and we took off again. So what am I doing? I'm already at this point, we're up a 1-to-3, but my stop loss is not small. So because it's bigger, I'm already drawing my trend line. You get what I'm saying? So we wait for that pullback and we wait till we get up a little bit, And now that we're in the volume, then is when we draw a trend line, and it's gonna look something like this. Take it from the wickedest candle, just like this. And like I said, I'm just gonna give it a little bit of breathing room because I don't know exactly if it's gonna touch, move sideways, push. You get what I'm saying? Like we just gotta, just don't keep your stuff too tight because that's how people get stopped off. So you already know my TP1 is to fill in the gap. So let's see what the market did. We here. Now we're respecting the trend line. We already hit TP1. So do I take or do I hold? This is what I do. Now I could draw it tighter because why? We've shown that we're respecting some type of trend. I'm in volume. So the second we break out of this, I know potentially we're gonna go push down a little bit or continue. I don't know, but the second we break out of this, I'm going, and I'm already at TP1. So let's see what the market did. Push down. We push down. Look at that. We're still respecting my trend line. What I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna move it a little bit tighter, get a lot more precise with my exit. Now this is on the 5-minute chart. Don't get me wrong, this is on the 5-minute chart. And I'm seeing this, but look how this look on the 1-minute chart. You see that? You can't see this on the 5-minute. On the 1-minute, we got structure, boom, we bouncing off the trend line. We bouncing off the trend line. We bouncing off the trend line. I cannot see this on the 5-minute chart. You can see a clear uptrend on the 1-minute chart. So now I'm like, okay, the second we break out of this trend, I'm out of here, you feel me? And at this point, what have we done already? We've already taken out liquidity. So this was a 1 to 3. For me personally, I'm closing this trade because that's already my second TP. It's like, okay, I'm gonna fill in the gap, see how the market react. And if we keep pushing up, then I'll close as we take out liquidity. And that's what happened. So I would have closed here, but let's just see what the market did. Boom, right here, this candle. So you see, we got close to the trend line. We start consolidating, and what happened? We broke out. Now, okay, just say the second it broke out, you close your position. You still got a 1 to 2.7, right? Now that's just if you're trying to get more. Like I said, I know where I'm trying to go with my trade. So, yeah, that's just what I'm saying. So the second we broke out, what happens? Start giving money back to the market. Nobody wants to do that. You feel what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'm gonna get one more example just so I can show y'all this clear as day. But this stuff works. You just gotta be patient with it. Let these things develop. If you're correct, then the market's gonna go in your favor. If it go immediately against you, then obviously your bias is wrong. So let's get to the last setup. All right, so here's another setup. So we're coming from a downtrend, and what does the market do? Right here, we throw a supply setup. Now we throw a supply setup, and the market pushed down, and what happened? We picked the zone, and we broke above. So what am I doing? My entry is here. Stop loss here. Where's my TP at? First TP, fill into the gap, or liquidity. Either way it go, that's where it's at. So, there we go. Okay. So either way it go, that's where it's at. It's either my first TP or I'm taking liquidity. It's either we fill in the gap or we taking out liquidity. Either or. So this small little, because we scalping at the end of the day. So when you catch stuff like this, you got to be quick. What happens? Okay, I'm looking at my trade. You see we got gap right here. You see we got some volume candles. So what am I doing? Let's go to my 1-minute chart. If I can't see clearly, because like if you throw a trend line like this and you wait for it to break out, like look, you can literally close your trade if you're not being greedy, or you come back down, then you're not even catching on 1-on-1. You get what I'm saying? So this is where the 1-minute chart comes in. We're in replay mode, and like I said, what we're not gonna do is, until we're in volume, we're not going to draw the trend line. Now, I see liquidity here, and then we got our TP1 right here. Because what we got? Gaps. There we go. So we filling in gaps, right? So this is our TP1. this is liquidity. So let's see what the market decides to do. Now, we already got a heavy push. We're at structure. We had some pullback, and what happens? Boom. So, like I said, when you're in volume, then draw your trend line. You're for one in profit, and for two, it's already hit some structure, pulled back, and then obviously broke out of structure, whether it be to the upside or the downside. That's considered in volume. So while you're in volume, that's when you draw your trend line. So remember, this is the 1 minute chart. So at this point, I'm only looking at the 5 minute first, because I need to see first no drawdown, right? So no drawdown. This is drawdown, but there we go. Now, at this point, what I say, we are in volume. So let's go. And TP1 was right here, right? So boom. Now we hit TP1. Now let's do what? Let's go to the 1 minute chart. Now we're on the 1 minute chart. We got a clear higher high, lower high, higher high. So what we do? We draw our trend line. Boom, just like that. And honestly, I would even put this at the body of this candle, because the wick was just a rejection. So I'm not gonna make the wick where it bounced off of, because price didn't want to close right there. So I'll make it the body of the candle. So now that we're in volume, you can see we already starting to squeeze in this area. It's not a lot of room for the market to go while we're at structure. And we've already hit TP1. If I'm like, okay, let's see if they want to take out liquidity, then this is what I'm doing. We're here, we know this is our trend line, and look at this. Now, like I said, for me, I know where I'm trying to go. I'm out of this trade right here. But if you already here at TP1, all you got to do, close this gap a little bit. I would just close it just like that, because this, so check this out. From here to here, this is your squeeze point. The market's potentially going to fill in this and decide if it's going to go up or it's going to come pushing back down. That's your squeeze point. So at liquidity or at your TP1, wherever, identify where you think the market's going to squeeze out at. And look what happened. You see that? Immediately it started taking out. So it's no more room in this area for the market to go, especially when you have already taken out liquidity and they're dropping the other way. That's called a liquidity grab. So like I said, for me, I'm just knowing where I want to go. But in a situation like this, if you're being greedy, this is where you will be getting out at. But for me, like I said, you got to understand market conditions. I'm just taking out liquidity. And not only that, if you look on the 1 minute, they just tapped a 1 minute supply. So they not, especially when you get a break of that candle, that's a sale. Ain't nobody buying right there. You get what I'm saying? Unless traders is buying right there. But I'm out of this at the end of the day. So, and look at that. You giving all of that back to the market? You probably are. You probably are. So, man, that's just the end of this video, man. It's gonna be quick and short, but I just wanted to say, with these type of trades, when you're in volume, then draw your trend line, because you can have a little pullback like this, and it happened to me before, and the pullback wicked on the 5 minute. This was just a whole wick right here on the 5 minute, and I seen this and I closed the trade because I'm like, oh, they turning around, when I just didn't trust my setup and my analysis. So now, no, I know it's a gap. We are potentially gonna fill it in, and if it come all the way back to break even, and I don't like the price action, then I'm just gonna close. But something like this, you didn't have to give this back and end up closing with a 1 to 1.2. Like, you could have just took out liquidity right here, and at that candle, 1 to 1.6, 1 to 1.5, whatever, and you'd be up. So that's gonna be it for this video, man. I hope that was some volume. I'm still talking about volume. I hope that was enough value for y'all, man. And just back test this stuff, practice it. But this has worked for me pretty well. And I just wanted to say that this is something that I just figured out, because I was looking at the 1 minute chart while I was trading. And I'm like, wait, every time I'm in a trade and it's going in my favor, it's respecting some type of minor trend line. So what I'm doing, I'm getting out. once you disrespect where you're trying to go and you let me know that, hey, I'm making a U-turn, we out of there, you feel me? So that's gonna be it for that video, man. I hope y'all got some value from this. Once again, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. And shoot, the Discord is growing, man, so hit that link in that description if you want to catch these setups and trades with me. But that's all I got for y'all, man. So until next time, be great.
I had to walk in my greatness, to step in my great. Yeah.